Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show and another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal preview series, our show in which we look ahead to the next Arsenal fixture with the help of some of our members from the Discord server. Apologies that there was no 8 a.m. show this morning, and those that have been tuning in the last couple of days will obviously know my current situation, and unfortunately bad news is I have now tested positive. Thankfully I don't feel too bad, so hopefully I can still be up to do a show tomorrow morning. I feel better than I did this morning, so fingers crossed I can still get you guys a show in the morning. But yeah, apologies that there wasn't one today. But let's introduce my guests for our preview show. First of all, it's Vinnie. You all right, mate? You doing good?
Yeah, good, thanks. And you're looking fresh considering you tested positive, which is good.
Oh no, it's not bad. The other half has got the much worse end of the stick. She's the one that's struggling. Who knows? I mean, it could get worse. But right now, it's okay. But I'm apprehensive about the morning. We'll see how we feel. We're also joined by Sasha. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm turning 25 tomorrow, so hopefully Arsenal doesn't disappoint me.
Nice. I mean, yes, it's always dangerous to have Arsenal on a birthday. I know you have absolutely no control over that, but
Usually, back in the day, Arsenal used to play Champions League on my birthday, and we used to get battered by Bayern Munich. But what
back
can you
in the
do?
day. Back in the day, indeed. And making up our panel, it's Steve. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
I'm very well, thank you. Hope everyone else is doing fine.
Absolutely. And in the chat box, good morning to, or good evening, or wherever you happen to be in the world. So we've got Harvey. We got Arsenal asking how the weather is here. It's not great over here in the UK right now, because we've had Storm Eunice. I used to teach a girl called Eunice, really irritating. So it's quite apt that it's called that. Any students watching this show are going to be like, oh, yeah, remember her. But yeah, no, it's not great. We've lost one fence panel. I mean, Vinny, have you any damage so far where you're at?
I've been in bed all day, but England's been battered more than Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking at
England
the
gets
news.
battered everywhere it goes, unless you're Tottenham. Yeah, it's a good example.
Impossible.
Steve, any damage to report?
No damage, but we've got flood warnings around this area in Weymouth.
Right. Well, best of luck to everybody that is based in the UK. I hope you're keeping safe. And, well, tip, just any garden furniture, plant pots, just get it inside if you want to keep it, because it's... there's a chance it may not be there when you wake up in the morning. Good morning to Steve in the chat box, to Alex, Thetaxdan in the chat as well. Omar, we've got Steve Stone, Julian Zeus. Good morning to everybody. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Ludwig, Arsenal, Granny, and Omar as well. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in as per. We start, Vinny, by talking about this game tomorrow, which, again, takes on added importance, as does every game so far this season. 16 games to go. We have the narrative that this is the game that we were told to basically just play, despite being heavily affected by COVID at the start of the season. Do you think that gives the extra momentum or motivation for Arsenal to go out and smash this one?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely going to motivate the players after the game at the start of the season. It was a joke that we had to play with so many COVID cases. And I think it was a matter of circumstance that we lost as well. Brentford had just been promoted. They had a lot of momentum coming up, and the crowd were incredible, the Brentford fans on that game. So we were up against it from the start. And then to add on top of that, we didn't have a striker to play. We had Balogun being thrown in at the deep end and a defence that weren't settled. But I'm really confident ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to be confident. Sasha, there is obviously the slight concern that we don't have Gabriel Martinelli available, but I think all of us are expecting Smith Rowe to come back into the team. How much do you think losing Martinelli will affect us?
I think it will affect us because he's obviously the number one choice on the left wing right now. But I'm just really, really hoping that Smith Rowe can get back to his scoring form. And because he used to be the favourite for that left wing until Martinelli came off the bench and scored, and then all of a sudden it changed. So maybe, hopefully, nothing against Martinelli, but hopefully Smith Rowe can put in a performance that can put him again as the number one spot in the left wing. So
And
I'm
yeah,
just hoping
absolutely.
for a win.
Yeah, no, aren't we all, mate? Aren't we all? Steve, interesting to see that Tomiyasu could be in contention to return for the game tomorrow. There is still a bit of a question mark over his head. Would you risk playing him, knowing how important he can be in the game like tomorrow that we've got?
I think that's the question, isn't it? Is we've seen us risk players before, and it's not worked out with Partey, for instance. But he is such an integral part to the way we play. So it's up to the fitness coaches and people to decide. But if there were no issues, I would definitely play Tomiyasu because he brings something that we just don't have anywhere else in the squad.
And Vinnie, when we look at Brentford, the opposition themselves, there is a few question marks over their team. Of course, Ivan Toney's been out of late, and Brentford have been struggling in the league, to say the least. They aren't kind of the threat that we thought they were in the first game of the season, where we look back and we thought, oh, maybe we'll look back on that game as as a difficult fixture that they're going to take plenty of points of other teams. That's not really been the case so far this season. So, how threatening do you think they can be at the Emirates?
Well, there's still a threat. Look at we drew with Burnley the other day, which was a terrible result. So it just depends what team turns up for us. If our team turns up, we'll beat them. But Brentford are like a lot of teams that come up. They come up with a lot of momentum, and then as the season goes on, that momentum sort of dies off, and reality kicks in, and they tend to struggle. The teams that come up, but yeah, I'm confident against Brentford. We should beat them. There's no excuses. We should beat them, but we just got to not be complacent, and that's the key.
It will be the key, not being complacent and creating those clear-cut opportunities when they fall to us. Is we've got to take them as well, because that was the big thing against Burnley, is that we created a couple of big chances, Lacazette in particular, but wasn't able to take them. Interestingly, Sasha, speaking of Brentford and Ivan Toney, he was a player that was massively shouted out by a lot of Arsenal fans in the summer of last year as someone that we should be looking to sign. I remember sitting back and saying, look, I'm going to wait to see how he kind of transitions to the Premier League. 6 goals so far, 8 across all competitions. Has he done enough to convince you that he should be on our list of strikers in the summer?
I don't think so. I don't think Tony is the one we should be going for. I think not that Tony's bad, just I think there's someone who will do better than he would do. I think Tony is the type of guy we'll probably be looking at if we don't finish in like the Europa League, like even below that. Then maybe Tony will be the guy we will be looking at because of what we can get. But you will be sure Tony is gonna turn up against us tomorrow. So I'm just hoping the main men, White and Gabriel Magalhaes, can keep him out, and I think they will. But just hope again.
Steve, Brentford used kind of this back three system. We obviously played quite well against Wolves. We had to dig in to get the result in the end after the red card. But do you think this Arsenal team are kind of well suited now to play against these sides that can set up with this kind of flat three at the back and then with the wing backs overlapping? Do you think we're coping well with this type of formation?
I think we coped well in the last few games. But as we saw, I know it was a completely different team the last time we played Brentford, but we did struggle against them.
Yeah. You got like Cole Henry, who's like on the left-hand side, don't you? And I mean, him overlapping, he's got a couple of goals this season. Sergi Canio scored against us there as well. And then you've got, at the moment, obviously, Tony has not been starting, but you've got Wissa and Mbeumo, who was electric when we went to Brentford earlier in the season. Do you think that if it's, say, Cedric that's available, that Henry on that left-hand side is going to find it much easier, and that would maybe tempt you to throw Tomiyasu in from the start?
That is why I would throw Tomiyasu in, is because, I mean, Cedric doesn't fill any of us with confidence, does he, defensively. He can be a problem, and that's probably our biggest weakness, I would say, is that position. If Cedric's out, the rest of the team looks pretty good, other than a madness from someone in particular in midfield.
That's his favourite.
That's the problem area.
Yeah, midfield is going to be interesting about how we sell. We expect it to be Xhaka and Partey, and I think we've all gone with Xhaka and Partey in our lineups. But you know, if that is the area where you're always looking at with a little bit of a Sherlock cat trying to work out where the error is going to come from. So let's look at our lineups then. Actually, before we do though, Vinny, I want to ask you about Christian Eriksen and the fact that he's obviously returned to the game as well. Now, we're all Arsenal fans and we never particularly like Spurs players, but obviously this is a very different scenario. And I was, for one, very happy to see him return to football, and getting into a Brentford and a Premier League level side like Brentford is a great move for him, isn't it?
I think it's amazing. Well, as you know, I've been ill the last couple of months, and my dream's to play football again, which I'm hopefully going to do in a couple of months' time. But
a lot better than me.
Yeah, well, I could probably run about as much as you with my chemo bag on.
I love that. I love that you're comparing me in that situation. My fitness is the same as yourself right now. Make that a shining point all day.
But I think it's amazing that he's making an appearance back. With like, what was the kiddie Muamba that we had who had the heart problems?
Yes,
Uh,
Miranda,
um,
yeah.
and he
Fabrice.
never made it back in his career. So for Ericsson to make it back, like he's a person. I know most Tottenham players are not people, but he's a human being at the end of the day, and you just wish him happiness. And it's great that he's going to be playing again.
Absolutely. Sticking with you, Vinny, talk us through your team, mate.
So our best lineup, essentially. I think this is our best 11. The only argument is whether Gabby or Smith Rowe takes that left spot. Hopefully, him having a bit of time out of the team is going to refresh him, give him some hunger, and he's going to come back and really nail that spot. And it'd be interesting to see in the future if Martinelli can take that top spot from Lacazette. But I think the team speaks for itself. Everyone moans about Xhaka every week in the Discord and stuff like that, but he controls the midfield for us, and him alongside Partey, I think, gives us the best base to play from and the best possible chance of controlling and winning this game. But I think in this game, there's no excuses. We should really go at them, and we should take it to them, and we should beat Brentford. We're a much better team than them. And I think Tomiyasu at right back's key, especially if Tony's playing, because if Tony peels off of White onto Cedric, I'd be very worried because he can't head. I'd rather play right back than play Cedric there with his defensive liabilities. He's good going forward, but yeah, for me, just our best team. Put the best team out there, and this is what we got to do every week now, and go out and win the games.
Sasha, you've picked the exact same lineup as Vinny. Do you agree with kind of how he's broken that down and thinking that it's going to be interesting seeing White up against if Tony does start because of how much scrutiny he was under after that game? I mean, Sky Sports and Gary Neville did practically a whole breakdown of how bad he was supposedly in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, well, to be fair, he wasn't that great. He got turned ugly by Mbuemo, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname.
Yeah,
but that made me worry a bit. But looking back now, nothing like that remotely as close to that has happened to Ben White so far. So that surely was a fluke instead of Ben White not happening a fluke, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm excited. I really like this team. If you add 2-3 more starters, 2 more squad players to this squad, to this team, it's really exciting. It's really like I can't wait for us to play because it's a nice team. It has a lot of likable characters in, and one very unlikable character in. But
you were on a date with him tonight, as everyone in the Discord knows.
Yeah, to be fair, I wouldn't turn down a dinner with Xhaka. Let's be honest. But
you'd be taken somewhere nice, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But then you might get taken out on the way out.
It could be worth it as well, you know. But yeah,
very true.
I don't want to go into much depth about certain people who's not excited about this Arsenal team and the manager and the setup and all those type of things, but I really am. So that's.
No, I mean, when you look at this team, you think this is probably. I mean, Martinelli, Smith Rowe is a solid debate, but I mean, us losing Martinelli is not that huge of a deal when it's Smith Rowe that's coming in for him. And when you think about the fact that it will be hopefully a brand new midfielder over Xhaka and a brand new striker over Lacazette, and possibly even Saliba coming into this team as well, you've got those kind of ideas, and it makes things more exciting.
Yeah, but like Gabriel Martinelli being out is probably him and Tierney because of the cover we have for them. So they're probably the best to be unavailable, even though we would probably want them to be available, of course. Absolutely. But if you can pick 1 or 2 to be unavailable, it would probably be Martinelli and Tierney because of the backup we have for them.
Definitely. Interestingly, Steve, you've gone for a very different structure. Do you want to talk us through your decisions there, fella?
Well, normally I'm not a big advocate of changing the system based on who you're playing, because I tend to.
You're looking a bit hypocritical right now. There.
Yeah, exactly. What can I say? But I mean, maybe I'm being a bit more negative compared to Vinnie and Sasha, because they're playing the main team. But I think it's quite a flexible lineup. I think Odegaard. See, the thing with this team is we can change up during the game. Saka can push on, Odegaard can drop. It's quite flexible. But I am very worried. Maybe it's a bit in my head from the last game against Brentford, because of how much they terrorised us in central defence. I like to have that security of the three and match Burnley up just for the one game. I think that could be quite handy. I don't think we will do this. I think we will play the teams that you guys have picked. But
I mean, you've picked the same team. You've just put them in a different shape. And to be honest, this is how the team will line up when we're on the offensive through our left flank. Like, this is what you will see. You will see Odegaard pushing up. You'll see Tierney pushing up, and Tomiyasu being the more disciplined of those defenders. So it's not wildly different. On paper, it looks wildly different, but actually it's just a different structure with the same players. Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you, though, Steve, about the fact that Smith Rowe coming in and what that might do for Kieran Tierney, because Martinelli, for all his positives, doesn't necessarily mesh as well with Tierney because he plays so wide, whereas Smith Rowe, because of his more of a midfielder trait, likes to drift more inside, which opens up that left flank for Tierney to overlap him more often than it does for Martinelli. So do you think that we're going to see a better Kieran Tierney than maybe we have done in recent weeks because Smith Rowe's in there?
I mean, I'd hope so. I'd certainly hope so. I think Smith Rowe, he's a very smart player. He knows when to drop, when to offer options for his teammates, when to drop into the half space. He's very clever at doing that. I think him and Tierney work really well together. I think it could be a massive thing for us. I think we could see the best of Smith Rowe in this game.
Fingers crossed that we do. Right, let's go and get our predictions, starting with you, Vinny.
I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. 3-0 Arsenal. I'm quite confident. I reckon we're going to do them.
Scorers?
Smith Rowe 2 and Saka 1, which would be good for my fantasy team.
Indeed. Sasha?
I'll accept nothing less than 4-0 on my birthday. Otherwise, Arsenal will get an email from me for ruining my birthday, even if we win. No, I'm just kidding. Just the win is necessary. But I think I'm going to go for 3-0 as well.
Scorers?
I think Lacazette will get one. One of the defenders, and then one of Smith Rowe Saka, I think.
And Steve?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I think Brentford, they are quite potent in attack. I think their average is a goal a game. So I expect them to score, because I don't think we will play the back three and have that security. And if Cedric does play, you best believe Tony's going to wreak havoc against us. So I'm going to go 2-1. I think Smith Rowe and Lacazette will get the goals.
Yeah, it's a good stat, actually, talking about how they've scored on average a goal a game. Even though, that being said, they have still scored. I'm just trying to look up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. Oh, wait, no, 6 with Wolves that have scored less than them. Only the 6 that have scored less. And that makes sense considering they do sit 14th in the table. But they have got goals. Yeah, 26 goals this season, 25 games. They've conceded 40, which is the third lowest. It's mad to think that Burnley have conceded just 29 goals and sit bottom, but they've scored just 14. It just goes to show you that even though you can have a decent defence, if you're not scoring, as we know very much about, it can really put an end to your hopes in the table. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Omar's going for a 2-0 to the Arsenal. Steve going for a 2-1 Arsenal. White and Smith Rowe. Temi says 13-0 to the Arsenal. That would be brilliant. It's an unlucky number, though, so I'm playing with fate there. Zeus says 2-0. Caesar says 1-0. 20 shots off target by Lacazette, though. Arsenal going for 2-0 to the Arsenal. Ollie going for 4-0. Partey to finally score from outside the box. That really would be a turn-up for the books. Pure Loyalist going for a 2-1 Arsenal. Julian reckons that Gabriel's going to score from a corner, which isn't too much of an out there prediction these days, to be fair. 3-1 for the Arsenal, says Ludwig. And Caesar going for 1-0. Odegaard to bust a nut if I can get an assist. RV for a 1-1. I am going for a 2-2 if Tomiyasu plays. Very negative predictions there. Kingsley 3-1. Jean going for a 3-0. And Akea reckons that the game's going to be postponed for some strange reason. Not sure why that would be the case. Maybe the wind could... maybe the wind will do it, but I doubt it. It should be fine. The storm should have passed its worst period by that point. My prediction, Omar, just so I don't forget, I think I said 2-0 on the Arsenal Lounge, so I'm going to stick with that. 2-0. I'm gutted that I can't go tomorrow. I really am. I might be targeting the Leicester game next month to try and get out there at some point, but it would have been great. But I'm going to go over 2-0 and fingers crossed we can get goals from Smith Rowe and Lacazette, because that would really do the fantasy team a nice wonder. Let's thank the guests, and then we've got a final thing to talk about. Steve, thank you so much, mate, as always, for coming on. Growing in confidence every time we get you on the show, mate.
Thanks for having me on. It's really fun coming on to talk football with you guys. Such knowledgeable fellas. It's fantastic. Thanks for having me on. Feel better, Tom. COVID.
Thanks, mate.
Horrible.
Thanks, mate. I'll try my best.
Thank you to everyone.
Sasha, I hope you have a fantastic birthday tomorrow, mate, and I hope the boys don't let you down. But thank you so much for coming on as per, fella.
Thank you. I'm sure to enjoy it on your behalf. And I'm concerned now that you say of the storm in London, because if it's gonna rain, then
it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't want an excuse. I don't want another excuse from Ty telling us we lost because it rained.
It only rained on our player.
It doesn't rain for both teams, you know. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna be sure it's gonna be sunny day tomorrow, and it's gonna be a nice Arsenal day, and it's gonna be a nice birthday. Let's go.
Lovely stuff. Vinnie, thank you, mate, so much as always for coming on. And I came to you last, obviously, because I want to give you the opportunity to give an update from what we talked about when we did our, was it deadline day it was? And we talked openly about what you've been going through. So go for gold, fella.
So amazing. We've made the 10K target for Macmillan. I'm extremely blessed to have had 50 mates go out and run and walk 5K every day for me in aid of Macmillan. For you guys who are not from England, Macmillan's an amazing charity that supports people through their journey when they get cancer. I was told, go back 4 months ago, basically, that I was buggered. I signed the form saying that I would have chemotherapy for as long as I could survive. But the good news is things have changed. I had a scan about 2 weeks ago, and we got the results back from the scan, and the tumours in my body have been battered more than Tottenham have this season. And the tumours which made me inoperable, which made me basically uncurable, have disappeared. They're no longer seen in the pictures. I've still got a tumour in my esophagus, but that was barely visible. So the game plan's changed now, and basically I've got 3 months of surveillance under a drug called Herceptin, which is designed for my type of tumour. And then hopefully they can operate, which is going to be a massive operation, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which is heaven. But one thing I'd like to say is thank you so much for everyone at TGT. Thank you for having me on the show, Tom. About £1,000 of that come from TGT viewers, which is amazing support. And a lot of you have never met me, and it means the absolute world. And the Discord has just been a massive thing for me as well, in terms of strength and fighting through this, because when the mind wanders, you obviously go down a dark path if you're in a pretty bad situation. But the team have always been there. Everyone in the Discord has always been there to chat to me, to share my story with them, and to give me confidence, give me positivity. And it means the world as well for you, Tom, letting me on the show and being part of the community and really enjoying it. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Apart from you bullying me and making me shave off my beard because I look exactly the same as Scuba Steve. So I've got the dodgy tash. But no, thank you so much. And thank you everyone who's contributed. You're absolute legends. It means the world.
I can only echo there what Vinnie said. When Vinnie said to me yesterday that over £1,000 of that raised amount had come from listeners and contributors to the show, that really does mean a lot, and it shows the community that we've got here. And yeah, as Vinnie said, he's been going for absolutely torrid time, and the fact that us at TGT and everyone in the community and the Discord server has been able to make it ever so slightly, I'm not going to say better, but certainly more comfortable, is fantastic to hear and understand. So great news, Vinny, and I'm sure you'll keep us updated along the journey, and soon you'll be back on the football pitch and showing me up again, I'm sure.
Over the moon. Like as I said earlier on, like Ericsson, who had the heart problems, it's my dream to get back on the football pitch. And like as I said at the start, I signed a piece of paper that basically said you take chemotherapy until as long as you can survive. Monday is going to be my last chemotherapy, and that's just heaven, because I'm going to start feeling human again. And my aim in a month and a half is to get back on the football pitch with the lads who have supported me as well for all of this. It'd just be absolute heaven. But no, thanks. Thank you, everyone.
No. Yeah, absolutely. And chat box, thank you so much for the kind messages coming into the chat as well. If you would like to donate, because you can still donate, just because we've hit the target doesn't mean it has to stop. Link, as always, is in the video description. So do go and throw some support in for a great cause. We'll be back, fingers crossed, tomorrow morning. As I said, unfortunately, I have tested positive for those that are joining late. So I'm hoping that everything's going to be okay in the morning. And yeah, it seems like at the moment, touch wood, it's not going to affect me too badly, but fingers crossed that remains the case. But other than that, again, a massive thank you to Vinny, to Sasha, and to Steve again for coming on the show and having such a fantastic time and a chat about the game tomorrow. Fingers crossed we can get it. I'm not working tomorrow, so there will be a reaction show as well, again barring health issues, straight after on the final whistle. So you'll be able to join us on the full-time whistle in the chat box as well. Have a good one, guys. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, up the Arsenal.